Very good afternoon to everybody that's joining us today. Can you believe it's the 17th of April already? Time is flying at the moment, and we're getting through this lockdown, a lot quicker and so forth. Very welcome to everybody that's joining us. As you know how it works, you need to tell us where you're from. You need to at least comment in the comment box. I can see a few people that's already joining us, saying hello. Indrika is saying hello from his side. Under saying hello as well from his side. Gary Blom saying hello from Johannesburg. Very to you, Gary. So please do continue to comment in the comment box. Our guest is Micheal Zoetmulder. He's the owner of the Z Brand Group and ZZ Sports with his wife, obviously, in the Z Brand Group. I don't want to get him into too much trouble. But Z Sports, has been involved with so many events over the past few years, from the Kweli Ocean Racing Series to the night relays to the river miles and triathlons and so much stuff. I really can't keep up on that side. Micheal, how are you doing?
Hi, Neil. Thanks for having me. It's trying times for everyone, isn't it? Interesting times.
Yeah, look, it is quite interesting, and a lot of businesses adapting to what we're going through in terms of change. And you in the events industry, and that's something we're talking about today. How are you adapting through what's happening currently in the events industry and getting through this lockdown period? And also what are you looking at post lockdown period? So, Micheal, just to give us, before we start off, just give us a brief overview for those that may not know you, what you're involved with, the events you're involved with, and how long you've been doing it.
Okay, that's the easy part of today, I think. Been in it for about 16 years. Started the events company when I came back from having been overseas for 10 years doing IT work. And we just wanted to offer Nelson Mandela Bay particularly something that was fun, affordable, and something for the whole family. And we started out with the Ocean Racing Series and then expanded to the River Mile. And right now we probably have or had about 40 events. We're a non-profit company and probably one of the most active in the country as far as running events goes. So it's been an interesting time now to, when the 16th of March, when the president stood up and limited the gatherings to 100 people, that was the end of all our events and most people in the same industry. So it's a very interesting time.
And how have you adapted through the lockdown period? Obviously you can't have any events during the lockdown period. What initiatives have you taken specifically?
Well, I think from Z Sports side, we looked at it, and we're fortunate we've got a small staff base, but we do have a staff base, and there's monthly overheads and that sort of stuff, which we lumbered with like everyone else. But we looked at it and said, do we carry on? Do we work from home? What do we do during this time? And I've taken the decision, and I've listened to a lot of the experts on the panel and that sort of stuff on what they're doing, what their staff are doing. But I think for us, we've said to our staff, take annual leave. And as we've been extended now, just take time off and chill. Be with your families. Spend quality time at home. Our staff are blessed to have such awesome staff, and they devote a lot of their time to Z Sports. Being so active, probably of the 52 weekends of the year, 44 of them we're working, sometimes both days of the weekend. And we haven't had a proper break for a long time. So we're looking at this saying, let's have a break. Let's refresh. We also know coming back from this, it's going to get pretty manic depending on what laws are put in place. But a lot of events are being postponed and all that sort of stuff. So if it does get back to a semi-normal state, it's going to be a very busy summer for everyone. And it's important for me that we come back and our staff are fresh and revitalized, because especially in events, that gives us the creativity we need to offer something different. Now, I appreciate it's very different for all other businesses. Other businesses have to keep going and their staff have to keep working. There's nothing more we can do. We can create virtual events, but it's not solving the problem. It's not getting us income that we need to cover our bills. So I think right now we just refresh, come back, revitalized and do what we do best and put on some damn good events.
For those just joining at the moment, if you've got any thoughts or comments, please do comment in the comment box. We're speaking to Micheal Zoetmulder about the events industry specifically. It's going through a very tough time now. I think will probably be the most affected throughout the lockdown period. Micheal, have you had some things taking place on your social media pages with people swimming and running and so forth? Do you want to take us through what that was all about?
Yeah, I mean, one of our feature events that we had to postpone was the Bellboy Challenge, which was 2 weeks after we went into shutdown. And there was such a great hype about it. And, you know, we look online and everyone's training like crazy at home, trying to adapt to do things. And we thought, how can we make it fun? You know, I just want to reach out to the people, let them know we're still here. We're not going anywhere. We're here. And, you know, we're interested in what they're doing. And we certainly appreciate what they see in us and what they do for us. And we just have some fun. And we did a virtual take on the Bellboy Challenge. And it was unbelievable. I mean, if people just go back to the Bellboy Challenge website or Facebook page, sorry, and have a look at the videos that people did at home, you know, it brought tears to our eyes. We're sitting here watching it. And I must admit, from my point of view, doing it was probably not a sensible thing to do because it took the whole day, you know, and it was such a beautiful day that day too. But it was just so incredible that the effort people went to and the fun that they had. And I'd like to think for a lot of those people, they probably had more fun doing it at home in their swimming pool or mocking it up, one guy on the grass and a skateboard and that sort of stuff, than they would have had at the actual event. So, I mean, it was fantastic and allowed us to see that these people are so passionate about things.
So what's the distance they actually did?
Well, we didn't want to make it a race per se because people are in different situations. So Stanford Slubbert, our disabled swimmer, he said what he's going to do, he's going to tread water in his swimming pool for the time he thought it would take to go around the Bellboy. So for an hour 20, he treaded water. Our defending champion, Gary Albertine, he swam the distance in his pool. So did Kyle White, something like 700 laps in their swimming pool. Crazy stuff. Wow. You know, others just did a portion of that or whatever. And some just had fun mocking up the whole thing with so-called spectators and prizes and all that other hype that goes with it. And, you know, they did their own take on the videos. And it was, some guys are very technical. You should actually check them out and give them some work to do. But it was just awesome to see.
Any shark sightings through that race?
No, but we did see there was a couple of fluffy bears, one or two dolphins at the bottom of the swimming pool. We did notice, but fortunately, no sharks. So that's a first problem.
And that's one way of adapting and still getting your races out there. Not maybe in the same way, but it's the awareness of the race with people competing from home. Not an actual race, but in a fun way throughout the lockdown period, which I think is completely amazing. You haven't sat back through this lockdown period and said, okay, there's no Bellboy taking place. We'll have a fun one from home, and I think that is the way to go throughout the lockdown period. Is there anything else like that coming up or that's happening soon?
Yeah, you know, on that, there's some out there like the Ironman guys and that have got a full-on virtual race, and that's brilliant. I mean, really world class. And I think what we're going to see post coronavirus is sports events are going to become a mixture from now on. All sports organizers are going to have a virtual sort of take on some of the events. There's some major events coming up later in the year, and our suggestion to them already is take it virtual rather. We've seen how people want to do stuff from home or can do stuff from home. And I think for some of these events, it may have a far bigger impact, making people do it from home and live streaming it and social media and that sort of stuff, than running the risk and doing it in venue. So, you know, for us, we're still looking at it. I mean, there's so much to do, and I'm in the unfortunate position as well of homeschooling 2 kids. And I think that's one thing companies forgot to mention to their staff is go home and work from home, but oh my word, what are you going to do with your kids? Because without the domestics and that sort of stuff, there ain't no work. There's just homeschooling and trying to sort the house out. So I think there are a lot of people in that same position out there today.
Keeping up with that. What do you think will be conducted with the situation after lockdown?
Sorry, repeat that question, Neil.
So if you look at like post lockdown specifically, how will everybody adapt to events that's maybe held indoors and outdoors specifically?
Sure.
If they don't want to go the virtual route, but still have events, how do you see the rest of the year panning out?
Well, I mean, we look at this and we see, when we went into lockdown, everyone postponed their events till late in the year, and I just can't see that as a solution, because you're now interfering with other events and that sort of stuff. But what is post lockdown?
Yes.
It's at the moment we're watching all the TV channels to try get a feel what is the rest of the world doing post lockdown. Two of the biggest countries, America, UK, have extended till the 15th of May. So no one has come out of lockdown, so we can get a model of how we're going to adapt to lockdown. Keep in mind, the Department of Education sent out a thing of how they might see post-lockdown, of staggering the schools going back. I see my grade 1 kids going back to school in 2 months' time. so you see these uncertainties. Certainly, it would appear, until they find a vaccine for this virus, this Wuhan virus, as the president from America would say. And that's what, a year to 2 years away. So one would suspect that social distancing is here to stay until that happens. Stay-at-home orders may be lifted so we can go out. We can see friends and family. Small businesses might start up. Just feel for the restaurants and the bars, because even if they start up, they're going to have to be restricted on space. And honestly, having been in the trade or married to someone that was in the trade, how PE businesses, restaurants and bars will survive on half their capacity is impossible. So there are going to be so many casualties coming out of this one. And then, we look at it and say, what's going to happen to events? Surely events aren't going to take place, or they're going to be restricted to a quota system, less than 100, no spectators, those sort of things. And these are all the things we're having to look at and take into consideration, is the events we have still coming up for the rest of the year. How do we adapt them within the restrictions that may be imposed? We've looked at this and said, okay, one of the events we enjoy most is triathlon. And in PE, it's not that well supported, it's well supported, but there's not a big field of people. So maybe that's one event we can look at, and we've formulated already a winter series. We've got all the sanctioning for a winter series that'll take off as soon as legislation allows us. Because with an event like a triathlon, we can stagger the starts. We can enforce social distancing at the event. We don't have to have prize giving at the event. We can have that online. There's a lot of things we can restrict it to make sure that everyone stays safe, and everyone being the participant, and of course my staff, and everyone that's watching. So I think all event organizers have to look at that and say, how are they going to adapt their events? When are they going to allow rugby back in the stadium? Maybe rugby can play in the stadium, but I can't see them getting the crowds back in there, because it just doesn't make sense at the moment. So, we'll take the event half virtual. We'll live stream it on Facebook and that sort of stuff for the spectators, and the participants can be at the event and take part. I think that's what we're going to see. But the big thing is...
Sorry, Michael, go on.
Yeah, I think the big thing is the casualties that come out of this. The big organizations that have massive overheads or are probably a bit too heavy on the staff side, they're going to be a casualty of this, because when events take off again, you aren't going to be able to recoup your losses. And that's, it's just, we feel for everyone out there on what's going to happen, especially on the event side, because we are one of the worst impacted, and we're going to carry on being impacted for a lot longer than most others. Thanks, Marissa.
Look, it's definitely that's what's going to happen. But I think it's also time now we need to try and look how you will be changing your events and what you will be doing going forward. I see David Levington saying, yes, Germany and America will not see any large-scale events or music concerts until 2021. And it's, that's this whole year and when also in 2021. Thanks for that comment, David. So it is also a way to look at how can we change events going forward. Do we need to look at doing events online where you have it through some software, specifically whatever works for you on maybe a webinar or Zoom, whatever, and the event takes place and everybody joins in on that specifically? Could that maybe be a way forward to still have events with social distancing also taking place? I think Sandy saying, yeah, hello, husband.
Thanks, Sandy, looking after the kids in the garden, I hope. Yeah, I mean...
so, Michael, do you foresee that?
Guys like David, thanks for that comment, David. I mean, man, I feel for you guys as well, because you do a lot of the aspects around events, which, if we can't run events, we can't hire logistics and all that sort of stuff. And certainly, how can we scale our business to handle small events? Now, thank goodness, the whole sports model has been around being able to have sustainable events with low entries, virtually no sponsors, that sort of stuff. When we started the company, the first year or two was great, and then we went into a slump in South Africa, and the sponsors sort of started drying up for everyone, and we soon changed our model there. So we can get by with low entry events. So we can throttle our events down and say we're going to have a muck run, and we're only allowing 50 people, and we can structure it around that because fortunately we have the capacity. But the challenge is going to be for the big guys. Can the big guys do that? I don't know. And I just hope that they can find a way to adapt, because we need everyone there.
And now's also time to look at it. I see also laughing in the comment you got here. I'll share it. Maria saying,
I don't share that.
Yeah. Well, for those that's asking, maybe I should just share your name. So we're currently talking to Micheal about how the events industry needs to change and so forth. And look, this is more an open discussion to try and get your thoughts as well. I don't think anybody knows the way we're going to go or how things will be changing, but we do know technology will be part of it. We'll have to look at how we host future events. Is it like a virtual event that takes place that everybody joins in from that side? And even from the sporting side, it's going to become the way forward. And maybe that's the way to gear up to get through 2020 into 2021. Even though it may not cover all of the costs in terms of the company, it may help with some costs going forward. Micheal, any advice for anybody in the events industry at the moment that you could share?
I think the best advice I heard or picked up is during this time, look after your staff. It's hard. I mean, there's 0% income coming in, but we have to pay staff wages. And I think it's critical that we do everything to look after the staff, because they are the company. And I think everyone in the event industry, there might be someone in charge of it, but it's the staff that make the events. And it's those people that with all this expertise, we've got to look after. So whatever it takes, keep your staff. I mean, you hear these companies dropping their wages to 20% or 30% or putting their staff, retrenching staff, whatever. And it's just not on. It's just, you can't do that. You've got to look after your staff. So, fight it out there. Make sure your staff are looked after, because they're your industry. And if we get to the other side of this and we're all intact still, we can get it up and running again if everyone is there as a team. That's
cool. Thanks for that, Mike. For those who's joining us, we're talking to Micheal about the events industry. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 o'clock, we have got a different speaker here on Oracle Media's Facebook page at 3 o'clock. So it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please join us around those periods and do interact with different speakers that is on. This coming Monday, we've got Carla Dreyer on, and she's going to be talking about how you need to change your artwork on specific platforms, also throughout the lockdown period. I see I'm getting a few more comments in here, Michael from Micheal saying, hi, boss.
Hi, Micheal. Yeah, Neil, your speakers, it's been 2 weeks of world-class speakers now, and now you're sort of, I don't know what happened this Friday afternoon, but the world-class speakers have been very
I couldn't think of anybody better to speak to in terms of the events industry. You've been in it for 16 years. You've been involved with all of these events from indoor to outdoor. And, you know, what does the way forward look like? I think, you know, to get your insight in terms of it is important. And, you know, to see what we should be doing. And also the way of thinking. And also what I liked about your Facebook page during the month, it's been positive. You've been having these sort of events taking place at people's houses where they're swimming and running. And I thought, let's talk about it, because there's many people in the events industry at the moment. Maybe everybody should come together, see how you can work for going forward, and taking the whole thing virtual. It is just, this is what these forums are all about, is having a conversation. I see David has got a comment here. There'll be a huge mind shift for event organizers to focus more on implementing greater health and safety for the events. Mark, have you started investigating these aspects and how that will impact your types of events?
Yeah, Dave, good question. Yes, we did allude to it earlier. We're looking at all our events now. You know, coming out of this, from what we're getting from all the experts, is we're probably going to go into a situation where we can't have gatherings of, let's say, 50 or more people. So we've certainly started looking at all our events to see which events we can still do within those parameters. And yeah, you know, we sit there praying, hopefully they're going to make it 100 or less or something like that. Just hopefully it's going to be something that's doable. You know, when the president stood up that on the 16th, the day before our final prize giving function for Ocean Racing Series, and he said no more than 100. You know, that was a killer. We were hoping for like no more than 500. But you know, when you go no more than 2, like in the UK or something like that, then no one can survive. But hopefully it'll be 50 to 100, and then we have to adapt, and we've got to look at the events and say, how can we do it? I mean, you look at Ocean Racing Series and say, maybe we can still do it. We've got 7 events every race day. Maybe we have to do those individually, half an hour between, you know, and encourage people to only come down for the start of the event and not come and watch other people. You know, the guys in the industry like Neil, like yourself, and those that do social media stuff, the videoing, the drone footage, all that sort of stuff, that's going to become key on how we keep people excited about events, but not there in person. So it's a lot of challenges, a heck of a lot.
And look, you can do it live. You can do the whole event live. We've done one of your events in J-Bay live, even our high-tech equipment, like a month and a half ago, actually, Michael. And I think, you know, if you go that route, we can adjust to it specifically going forward. I see another message coming in from Marissa. Mark, would it be possible to have heats to make sure you keep the numbers low? For example, you have 45 athletes arrive at the time slot to compete, and the next group 2 hours later, depending on the time frame. Would that be possible?
Yeah, 100%. And that's sort of something we're looking at is, and it's a different take for the participants, because now they're no longer going to be competing against others. They're going to compete against themselves on a time basis, because we'll stagger starts or something like that. So become a very different thing. You're not competing en masse. So certainly something that a lot of events can look at would be the staggered starts. We alluded to that in a triathlon type event. Easy to have 20 people starting at a time. And you just, all our timing systems can figure out the winner's time irrespective of when they start. So it's certainly something we can look at, and we are looking at. And I guess everyone else in the market is looking at that too, is how to make the big events doable in small chunks.
So your Ocean Racing Series could take place from 9 till 5 p.m.
Yes, basically. I mean, obviously costs go through the roof from an organizer point of view, because now your venue hire, your water safety, those sort of things. But it's doable, certainly doable. Yes, we've got the swim series as well. That's also possible. It's just the mass participation events that would become an interesting one to tackle. Is how do you do the mass participation events?
So I see a message from Linda here. I agree. It's important to look after your staff, but paying them 100% salaries will only drag your company down faster. In the ideal world, will focus funds carrying through the company and so forth. You can't pay if your clients don't pay you. So it's got to affect it. If obviously if people don't pay you and you don't have any company funds left, how do you pay your staff going forward? I think you need to have an open conversation with your clients and with your staff, I would say there, Michael.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is a double-edged sword, but where I'm coming from, sports wouldn't be sports if it wasn't for my staff. They're far more important than I am. So they get looked after until the day we close our doors. We cannot look at a situation where we start doing away with staff just to keep the business alive, because the business is the staff. So yeah, it's a very tricky thing, and it just gets worse the longer we lock down. But I don't think it should be something people are looking at as a quick stop. It should be the last resort. And I mean, on that as well, for everyone out there, I mean, you hear horror stories about them not paying bills and that sort of stuff. Come on, guys, if you have the money, pay the small companies. They need it more than anything. The story of one of the retailers not wanting to pay rent, but they open. It's like, come on, your landlord needs the rent as much as everyone else. And same, if there are businesses out there that you still owe people money, if you can, you must pay them, because everyone's suffering at the moment.
Yeah, look, it's a difficult one, and the company only needs to look at how can they do it and what specifically. It's so difficult to give anybody advice in terms of that now. But Michael, thank you so much for talking to us today, and it's going to be interesting to see how the events industry change going forward, and how to adapt specifically and embracing technology. We've definitely seen our clients embracing on digital platforms to sell on e-commerce websites and so forth. So the events industry will obviously have to get to a point where they, reach out live. And if you look at that JBay event that we covered live for you, a lot of people interacted online while watching it. That may be the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge success. I mean, we took a swimming event to a platform where you had 20,000 people watching it from around the world. Normally, it's the SA National Swimming event that 150 people are watching locally. So it certainly opened the market, and yeah, who knew that would become the norm, Neil? But it's the way to go. It's certainly the way to go, and one can make it a lot interesting going that route as well.
Definitely. Look, that was a month before the lockdown. We never knew that we would try and do that again, and going forward. And that takes event, like you said, from people not being able to attend it physically, but sitting from home and watching the whole swimming event from all over the country, all over the world. That's the way we'll have to go towards the future.
Yeah, this Micheal, is just expediting it.
Thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. You can now go and relax with your kids and relieve Sandy.
Relax. What's that? Yeah, thanks, Neil. Greatly appreciated, bud.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You must have a good one.
I will. You too.
Bye,
thanks,
Michael.
everyone, for listening. Appreciate it.
All right. I'll see you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 o'clock right here on the Oracle Media Facebook page with a different speaker. I'll see you this coming Monday with Carla Dreyer.